Game one of this can't lose series goes to the Diamondbacks in a big way. What do they need to do to ensure a series win tonight?
You are Locked On Diamondbacks, your daily Arizona Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome to the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast, the show where we talk nothing but the D-backs Monday through Friday. And thank you so much for making Locked On Diamondbacks your first listen every day. I am your host, Danon Biggs, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if you win, you will get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. I wanted to start this out. We got a kind of a fun comment yesterday that made me laugh, and I just wanted to share it with you guys real quick. By the way, if you guys want to reach us, the best way to do that is by commenting on the YouTube videos. I read every single one, and I respond to every single one. So please, I would love to hear your thoughts and chat with you there. But this one came from Jesus Diaz, who said, talking about the new host, me, says, I know he's an actual fan because of the subtle optimism we show while not fully committing so we don't get hurt. Go D-backs, which I just loved because it was just, it's very true with any Arizona sports team. It's just, there's not really much reason to be optimistic, but we do pull off miracles from time to time. However, you gotta keep yourself a little bit reserved just in case, so that when it doesn't happen, it doesn't hurt our feelings too much, which hopefully I'm not too reserved. I'd like to think that I make some fairly big swings, but I also do keep my feelings protected there. So, but anyway, let me know if any of you guys relate to that. Today, we're going to be talking about how we can make the playoffs. Speaking of keeping ourselves reserved, how can we make the playoffs? We're also going to be looking at some of our hottest players right now. And they are, honestly, it's a surprise to me looking at who is doing really well right now versus who isn't. And we're going to talk about why they've been doing so well. But before we do that, we're going to recap last night's game. Last night, Zach Gallen was our starting pitcher, and he was amazing. Did an incredible job, 6 full innings, which is what we really needed. We need to give our bullpen a little bit of a break. He did give up 1 solo home run and 1 other hit, and that was it. I think he had 1 walk as well. But 6 strikeouts, which puts him at 1,005 strikeouts on the Diamondbacks, third on the list, and I think 60 strikeouts away from the number 2 spot of Brandon Webb. So Zach Gallen, if this season ends and he goes somewhere else, has cemented himself as one of the greatest Diamondback pitchers of all time. And that is incredible. And if this is how his tenure with the Diamondbacks ends, it's ending phenomenally. His last handful of outings has been great. The Diamondbacks, on the other hand, forced their starter out after only 4 innings. They had only scored 1, but they were very selective at the plate, ran up that pitch count. To be fair, their pitcher is a bullpen pitcher that is making the transition into a starting pitcher, something I didn't know until after the game was over. But still, the fact that we were able to do that helped us a ton, and we'll talk about that here in a second. The bottom of the 6th was the inning that really got things going. Corbin Carroll had himself a double, which was very much needed. Corbin Carroll needs something to get his back hot again, and this was very needed because right after that was followed by 2 walks. Vargas had a 2 RBI single, and with some, you could say bad, but then good base running, he rounded first to go to second. Clearly was going to get out, but then he stopped right in the middle so that they would tag him and allow the runner to make it to third. So probably bad base running, but then made the most of it, got the runner to third. This actually forced not the second, but the third reliever in the inning. After that, Jordan Lawler, inches away from a 2-run home run, hit it off the wall and scored another run with a double. And right after him, James McCann, of all people, comes up and hits his 2nd home run in as many games and his 6th RBI in 2 games. And after that, there's still only like 1 out right here. McCarthy reaches base, and Perdomo hits a triple, all in the 6th inning. Tyler Rashi came in right after that to pitch for the Diamondbacks, and he struggled to find the strike zone at first. He walked the first batter pretty horribly. Didn't really look like he knew where he was going, but settled in, ended up pitching 2 clean innings and getting 3 strikeouts. So he pitched the 7th and the 8th. McCarthy and Perdomo had back-to-back doubles in the 8th, which scored another run. And we saw over the course of the whole game, we saw 4 relievers in addition to their starter, so 5 pitchers total, and scored against every single one of them. At least 1 run. And a few of them we scored 2. So that is a big key indicator to me that this series is going pretty well. But Beeks then came in to close the 9th and had a 1-2-3 9th inning. There were 0 hits against the bullpen, a walk, maybe 2, but 0 hits. Again, Zach Gallen only gave up 2 hits. One of them was a home run, but they never once had a runner in scoring position. And the Diamondbacks pitching managed to shut this team down in a big way. And then that 6th inning really put up one heck of a crooked number, and we were able to take the win quite easily. So this excites me for a handful of reasons. One, I've been saying, especially yesterday, I was saying that we need to be able to go deep into their bullpen and keep them out of our bullpen. And that's exactly what we did tonight or last night. I kind of wish, I almost kind of wish that they just let Rashi pitch the 9th inning as well. I understand why they didn't, and that's totally fine. But I think he probably could have gone a 3rd inning, and I think they should have just said, when you give up a run, we'll take you out. But his pitch count was getting a bit high, so I understand that. And Jalen Beeks did an amazing job in the 9th. I just wish we didn't let the Giants see him, because if tonight or tomorrow we need to bring him in a high stakes situation, a few of them have seen them already, and that may give them an advantage. But all in all, I think fantastic. And the offense, which we're going to talk about here in a bit as well, really came through in a big way. Not everybody, and we'll talk about that as well, not everybody in the D-backs offense delivered, but a lot of people who don't tend to delivered. And makes me feel much better going into the remainder of this series and the 3 remaining series, knowing that even from our lesser known non-all-stars, that they can come in a clutch situation and get us what we need. So that is massive. Anyway, we're going to talk actually about the updated playoff picture, because quite a few teams played yesterday, and we're going to talk about what our game plan needs to be moving forward and some things to look out for as you watch the next couple games. We're going to talk about that right after this. You've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products and thought, sure, like that actually works. There are so many products out there, and it's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything. That's why you should give Nutrafol a closer look. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. And it's not just the hype. This is a supplement clinically tested that targets the root causes of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. You can feel good about it knowing that Nutrafol is NSF certified and backed by peer-reviewed studies. See thicker, stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Today's show is also brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing like catching a baseball game live. The energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team in person, but actually buying tickets, that's the tough part. Queues, lock-in screens, surprise fees, it takes all the fun out of it. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included. So the price you see is the price you pay. Honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way I've bought my tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use Locked On MLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB, all one word, Locked On MLB, for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Now let's take a look at the updated playoff picture. Not every single team played yesterday, but 4 teams that are in contention did. That is us and the Giants, obviously, as well as the Reds and the Cardinals, who played each other. The Diamondbacks and the Reds won their games, with the Giants and Cardinals losing. So now that puts us, the Diamondbacks, in sole possession of the next spot before the final wild card spot. We are 1.5 games behind the Mets. The Giants and Reds are tied 2 games behind the Mets, and the Cardinals are now 4.5 games behind the Mets. Now, we were just 4.5 games behind the wild card spot as well, so the Cardinals are far from out of it. However, they're going in the wrong direction. So the Giants are continuing to play us in the series. The Reds are going to continue to play the Cardinals, and the Mets are about to start their series today against the Padres. So they have a difficult team to play ahead of them. The Padres, very eager to clinch their wild card spot. So they're going to be playing pretty hard still as well. Anyway, let's look at what we have ahead of us in this series against the Giants. We faced yesterday 4 of their 9 relievers in one game. And again, we got a run off of every single one of them. So that is promising. I like that. There's 2 games left, and let's see if we can get a look at the rest of them. Then the other thing that'll be nice is then they go straight into their series against the Dodgers with their bullpen hopefully completely worn out and all their momentum gone because they just got swept by the Diamondbacks. That's the hope. Erod is going to be pitching today, and he has been incredible his last couple outings. So I expect that again from him, especially here at home with the home crowd and with this momentum that they have going for him. Pretty much everybody on the Giants against Erod is not performing super well. Chapman is 381 against him with a home run, so be careful with Chapman. But everybody else, it's kind of getting not their first look, but one of their first looks against Erod. So he will have that going for him. And then Brandon Pfaadt will pitch tomorrow. Pfaadt has been struggling a bit, not with location, but with making the pitches in the strike zone very hittable. So he gave up 3 home runs in his last start against San Francisco, and he's given up at least a home run in his last, I should have looked this up because I'm sure it's an interesting number, but in his last quite a few games. So the long ball has been Brandon Pfaadt's kryptonite lately. So if game 3 he can figure out a way to locate his pitches just a little bit better. I feel weird saying that because it's just like, if Brandon Pfaadt could just pitch better, but that's kind of what it is at this point. I think that all of our pitchers, starting and relief pitchers, have been doing a very good job at attacking the strike zone and not being afraid to throw strikes. Sometimes that leads to more hits and more home runs. It did against the Twins, but it did not yesterday. Gallen attacked the strike zone big time, and he only gave up 2 hits. So hopefully that continues with Erod and Brandon Pfaadt as well. Tomorrow, we know that Justin Verlander is going to be starting, so we'll probably see a lot of left-handed hitters against him. But we do not know who is pitching today, at least as of recording. I will check one more time because, again, we just still don't know. But it's probably not going to be Robbie Ray because he pitched 2 games ago. And my guess would be Seawald, but we're not 100% sure yet. And yeah, as of recording right now, still not sure. If you're listening to this and not watching this, I just held up my phone. Not that you needed to know that, but it's true. Anyway, we need the offense to continue to put the pressure on these San Francisco pitchers. We need to knock their starters out sooner than later so we can tire out their bullpen. Because again, we want to win the next 2 games against them, but we also want, forgive me for saying this, we want the Dodgers to win their games against them as well. So I know it's like I'm saying, it's like I need to rinse my mouth out with soap saying that I want the Dodgers to win, but it's true. We also want the Padres to win this week. So pretty complicated emotions for us right now, but that is where we are. So we want the Giants completely drained after today and tomorrow. That's our key thing that we need to do, because if the Giants lose against us and against the Dodgers, they are not looking very good. Ketel Marte is not. He's. I don't know a nice way to say this. He looks like he's checked out. I think right before recording this, I saw somebody commented on our most recent YouTube video, which again, please do leave your thoughts in the comments, because that is where I hear from you guys the most. But he looks like he's kind of checked out. He doesn't really seem to be there. It feels like, I mean, he's having a hard time hitting the ball, but also the way that he's going through each at bat is strange. For example, yesterday he had 5 at bats and he saw 7 pitches. So there were only 2 at bats where he took the first pitch. Every single other at bat, 1 pitch, 1 out, or hit by pitch, which so he was 0 for 4, 1 hit by pitch in the first inning, which did lead to a run. So it's not like it was completely unproductive, but it's not like I would credit him with getting hit by a pitch either. He did hurt his foot in the last series, and that can be a big demotivator. That can be pretty hard on a player, especially when you're an infielder and you need to run a lot. But even before that, I've been saying for the last week now, he needs to get his mojo back. And if that means that he needs to be sat down for a day or 2, do it, because he should have done it a week ago. He hasn't done anything in the meantime. He had 1 game where he got 3 hits, and that was it. He's completely not producing right now. And so I think you need to let him take a break, or I don't know. Maybe they've had this conversation and they've determined that the best thing is he just needs to power through it, which is what happened with like Taylor or Jordan Lawler. So maybe that's what they're hoping for, in which case, okay, let's do it. But I mean, he needs to figure something out. He has a few games to do it, I think, because we've been able to win without him, but we're not going to be able to for much longer. Corbin Carroll is another one that I think needs to figure himself out in the next 2 games. He ended the game today with a double that ended, or he didn't end the game. He had, towards the end of the game, he had a double, which was key in getting that 6th inning rally going. So that was really big. And if he can have, if that's kind of the thing that jump starts him again, then great. He looked already like, you can even see it when when the camera shows him when he's in the outfield or when he's in the dugout. He looks just depressed, and he looks like he's having a hard time and he's not having fun. After that hit, you could see a considerable change in his demeanor. So I hope that that's what he needed, and that today and tomorrow he can go out there and have multi-hit games for both of them. That's what he needs. If he can get a multi-hit game today and tomorrow, then I think Corbin Carroll is back. But we'll see how that goes. We'll talk about it tomorrow. After we finish with the Giants, we have a series against the Phillies. They are a very good team. They are clinched now for the playoffs. They're one of 2 teams to be clinched, and at least as of yesterday. And we're going to need our offense to compete with their offense. They're going to score runs. They're going to score a lot of runs. So we need our offense to be on for that series. Ketel Marte, Corbin Carroll, Gabriel Moreno, and everyone else needs to be on their A game. That's when their hot streak needs to start. They need to go crazy during that, because I wouldn't be surprised if we have double-digit scoring games for all of each game between the two teams. And hopefully we have more of those runs than they do. Our pitching does need to be aggressive, but against the Phillies, especially against specific players like Schwarber and Harper, we need to be careful around them. And ideally what that means is we attack everybody around them in the lineup, so that when it gets to them, we give up a walk, we give up an ugly, they hit a single or something off of an ugly pitch or whatever. That's fine, because we got the other two guys out, and there's still two guys out. Schwarber's on second, but that's okay because we can get the next guy. Then fine. And I know that's, kind of just their whole lineup is dangerous hitters, but we need to be smart about how we go about all of those. We then have a series against the Dodgers. They score a lot, but they also allow a lot. So if we can continue to be aggressive on our pitching, and they tend to struggle offensively against us, which is great. We also tend to struggle against them offensively unless we get one of those big kind of rallies going. So again, our main hitters and the supporting cast needs to show up against the Dodgers. But all three of these series, the Giants, the Phillies, and the Dodgers, are here at home, and I think we'll benefit a lot from that. And then finally, we have our final series against the Padres. With them, we need to attack quick. They have incredible defense. They don't give up a lot of runs. So we'll need to get an early lead and then hold on to it as best we can. Our bullpen is going to be very, very important in that series. Also, they will probably be clinched by then. They'll have their playoff spot clinched by then and won't want to burn themselves out before the postseason. So hopefully that plays a part in it. I'm not going to count on that. But that's another thing to consider. That's also something to consider with the Dodgers, that they very well might be clinched by the time we play them. So, and the Phillies, as we already said, are already clinched and will definitely clinch their division soon. So, up next, we're going to talk about the hottest players that we have right now, and they're not who you would have thought would be the hottest players at the beginning of the season, or let alone a month ago. So we're going to talk about that right after this. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you are ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Okay, if we're talking about our hottest players right now, let's start on offense. Just in general, Gabriel Moreno, in the last 7 games, his average is .417 in his last 7 games, and he's had 10 hits in 7 games with 6 RBIs, that is a hot run. No matter who you are, what team you're on, that's up there with some of the best players right now. So Gabriel Moreno doing an excellent job. And like I've said before, and like Torey Lovullo has said before, as well as many of the other players on the Diamondbacks, when Moreno is in the lineup, the Diamondbacks win more often. They play better baseball. They look better. And that was true last night. And that's true just about every night that he is out there. Whether it's directly or indirectly, I think he is key to why the Diamondbacks are where they are right now, and is going to be a key player in the remainder of the season. Next, very interesting, also behind the plate, we have James McCann, who up until 2 days ago hasn't really done much noteworthy, but 2 days ago he got 4 RBIs. He got our first 4 RBIs with 2 hits a hit and a home run. And then yesterday, another home run, which was a 2-run home run. So in the last 2 games, he's had 6 RBIs and 2 home runs. So if you ask me, keep him in, let him play some more until he slows down, because if this is the start of a hot streak, that is going to be very, very good to see. Now, he is a right-handed batter, so if we're going to be going up against right-handed pitching, I understand why maybe you wouldn't want him in the starting lineup, but keep him ready to go on the bench for later in the game, because he's been very solid in these last couple of games, and I've loved seeing what he's been able to do. And he seems to be somebody, if he can get if he can get his batting average up, and if he can work on his pitch selection, then he's got the power to be a very good regular power hitter. So James McCann, quite the fun surprise over the last couple of games. Not something that like over the last month he's been performing this, that, but notable. I really wanted to bring that up. Blaze Alexander, I was going to bring up Blaze Alexander. He's been 269 in his last 7 games, which isn't all-star level, but it is very impressive for a young rookie level player where he's at. And he's had 7 hits and 3 RBIs in those 7 games. Not to mention incredible defense every single time he's out there, whether he's at third, second, outfield, he's doing an amazing job. And having him on there, he's gotten 3 RBIs, but he's saved a lot of runs as well doing what he's been doing. Jordan Lawler is been doing very good. In the last 2 weeks, he's had 8 hits, which are the only hits he's had in his season so far. So again, he went about a month or more without a single hit, struggled a lot. He was sent down, came back up, and didn't look. He was swinging at just about everything. But over the last 2 weeks, he's gotten 8 hits, and 6 of those 8 hits have been for extra bases. If you see him get a base hit, it is a hard base hit. He is knocking that thing far. He very nearly got a home run. He was inches away from getting a home run last night, and his first home run's coming soon. In those 2 weeks, he's had 4 RBIs, so 8 hits. 6 of them have been for extra bases. 4 of those have produced RBIs. So he's been doing very, very good, and I am excited to see what the remaining 11 games has in store for Jordan Lawler. Geraldo Perdomo has a 417 average in the last 7 games, but has a 576 on base percentage in the last 7 games. So he's getting on base more often than he isn't getting on base. He has 10 hits, 7 walks, and 2 home runs over the last 7 games. So he is doing very, very good right now. If basically Perdomo comes up, it's the flip of a coin plus a little bit, the flip of a weighted coin, and that's what you can expect with him getting on base. And every single one of his at-bats is at least 5 pitches, but a lot of them get up to 8, 10, 11, 12 pitches. He is doing a very, very good job at the plate right now, wearing pitchers down and discouraging them, quite frankly, and getting on base, getting things started. So very good for him. A few more. Ildemaro Vargas has 6 hits over the last 7 games with 3 RBIs. So that's been a very good sign from him. And Jake McCarthy has 6 hits and 4 RBIs in the last 7 games. So excited to see those two getting more production out of their at-bats. Then we have our starting pitchers, Zach Gallen, Ryan Nelson, Eduardo Rodriguez are becoming just elite pitchers. Their last handful of outings have been extremely impressive, and you're not gonna see it from their season-wide stats because they have all struggled throughout the season. But right now, they're all looking incredible. Chris Matt's looking better, and Brandon Pfaadt is looking. He's at the very least he's being consistent. We know what we can expect from Brandon Pfaadt, and if we do make it to the playoffs, everybody knows playoff Brandon Pfaadt is next level. So hopefully we see that from him if we do make it to the playoffs again. In the bullpen, Thompson has been showing has been doing very well lately. Beeks, Rashi, Saalfrank, they're all growing more and more reliable. we're not going to get an amazing outing from each of them every single time. They are still young. They're still figuring it out. They're still working on their command, but they are proving to be better and better as the season goes on. And a lot of you guys have mentioned in the comments that our bullpen kind of is our Achilles heel right now. I agree with that in part because all of our solid bullpen members, the ones that we could, rely on more often than not, have been injured. And with those injuries, it kind of shows the cracks. And so I understand that take, but I also think that this really will highlight the need for the offense to support their starting pitcher and add additional help towards the ends of the game. So if they can play like they did yesterday, then we've got ourselves a playoff team. Tonight, we have our second game against the Giants, hoping to clinch the series. Eduardo Rodriguez will take the mound, and the Diamondbacks hope to wear down the Giants bullpen as much as possible for Game 3 and for the Giants' series against the Dodgers after this. I will be back here first thing tomorrow morning, so be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We're on YouTube as well as every other place where you get your podcasts, so be sure to subscribe everywhere where you get podcasts. If you want to see more of me, because who doesn't want to see more of me, you can find more of me on my YouTube channels and projects over at slackshack.tv. That's my production company that produces this podcast as well as all of our other fun, adventurous things that we do. Thank you for making Locked On Diamondbacks your first listen every day. For your second listen, find the all-night Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night until a World Series champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. My name is Dana Biggs, and I will see you guys tomorrow.